is chaos. Its corrupting, changing taint despoils all before it. Only the strongest will endure.
Hello and welcome to another Total War Warhammer guide. Today we are looking at the sort of utility units of the Chaos Army and also a couple of the big guys. So today we're going to be looking at the War Hounds and the Trolls. Each come in two varieties, so we'll go through their stats and how they work in the battle, and then we'll go and kill some Bretonnians for funsies and discuss how sort of advanced tactics of how you'd use them in the fight. So first up, you've got Chaos Warhounds and their slightly greener cousins, the poisoned Chaos Warhounds. So they come in pretty large units of 60. They're relatively cheap, and they don't get too attached to them because they will run away. They only have 15 armor, they have 38 leadership. They are very, very quick with 92 pace or speed. I say pace because I play too much Football Manager. 92 speed. Melee attack of 26, which is really good. Defense not so much, 12. Weapon strength 22, and a charge bonus of 18. They also they're very fast. So they can just skim around the battlefield, and they also have scaly skin, which means they take less damage from missile weapons, 15% less damage, which is nice because part of their role is going to be going after those infantry units. So these are not the sort of units you'd include in your main battle line, not for me anyway. You can do, actually we'll go through like the more detailed sort of tactics shortly, but let's just look at the differences between this and the poison unit. So they're very fast, scaly skin, they're both weak against armour, and they have poison attacks. I think that's the only difference. Yeah, totally the same apart from poison attacks. So poison attacks of this unit weaken the target's speed and damage while increasing its vigor. So that's really good. So basically slows down that front line. So the way I use them, and this is the way I use them on the tabletop version of Games Workshop as well, they're much smaller units in Games Workshop. You don't see units of 60 Warhounds very much. So they're the sort of two units we'll go through the tactics shortly when we're killing some Bretonnians. So the next army unit is quite a bit different. So these are Chaos Trolls. They are absolutely beautiful models. They are spectacular dudes. I like the flies buzzing around them as well. They are one of the big daddies of the Chaos Army. They've got a few of these, to be honest, which we'll go through in other videos, like the Shaggus and the Dragon Ogres and stuff like that. But these are monstrous infantry. They are armor piercing. They have regeneration. Armor piercing means they can do damage against sort of well-armored targets with their big sort of bone clubs and stuff. They have regeneration, which allows this unit to heal over time. It does suffer from, if you take flame damage, it will cause the units to not regenerate, and they'll take more damage. So you really want to stay clear of those big... Hello, friend. You really want to stay clear of those sort of, the fire wizards and stuff like that, because they will cause havoc amongst cave trolls. They do have very poor leadership. That's the biggest downfall of Chaos Trolls. So you need to babysit them. So let's look at their stats. So 4,860 hit points in a unit of 9. Very, very good. Not that much armor. Their leadership is just awful. They've got a decent amount of speed, quicker than an infantry, but not as quick as any sort of cavalry. Melee attack of 38, which is brilliant. 20 defense, not too bad. Strength of 90, which is great, and it's obviously armor piercing as well. And they've got a really good charge bonus of 40 as well. They also cause fear, meaning that they reduce the leadership of enemy units they're fighting, and they regenerate, which we talked about before. So the other option you have for the Chaos Trolls is the armoured Chaos Trolls. So they work very similar. Same amount of hit points. Instead of 30 armor, they have 80 armor, which is really helpful, and they take less damage from those weapons that aren't armor piercing. So really nice upgrade to have. Everything else I think is pretty much the same. Very poor leadership again. They're no better at that. So these have two very different uses in the battle, which we'll go through now while we just muck about and kill some Bretonnian dudes. The way I use Warhounds, as I use them in the tabletop version, is as almost like decoys. They're going to run away. Don't count on them to fight for very long unless you're overwhelming a foe and your morale's not an issue. the way I would try and use these is to use as decoys. Like if you had a unit of Empire Reichsguard chasing them around the map, then they've paid for themselves like multiple times over. They are not very combat orientated at all. So also the one good thing they are at is a couple of units of these hiding in the woods, sneaking around the back and going after artillery crews, going after missile infantry, and you can use them, say, maybe to protect the flanks of your more valuable units. You can use them in a defensive, in a sort of your main battle line. I wouldn't recommend it. I'd have those as maybe a secondary charge, as a flank charge unit or something like that. But I wouldn't recommend it because you really do have to babysit. The benefit of obviously of them being in the main battle line is you're going to have your general nearby, and that will give them a boost to their leadership and stop them scurrying away. Like we're going to charge these poor Bretonnian spearmen here with both units. Are they going to charge? Yeah, they're going to charge back. They do look pretty cool running in. So as we said, they've got poison attacks, so you can use them to soften up a foe because you can slow them down, do damage, and also increase their... What was it? It's said a weird way, isn't it, in this? It increases their vigour, which is basically stamina and stuff. So it tires them out a little bit as well. So as you can see, we're getting stuck in and we've done a hefty amount of damage, but the first unit of hounds is almost ready to break. It's pretty even. They're not going to be good when they're surrounded. As soon as they're hit, you've got to protect their flanks, because as soon as they're hitting the flanks, they are just going to run away. So let's move on to the trolls. This will be ugly. But as you can see, they're holding their own. They're taking out. Admittedly, it's only some spearmen at arms with shields for the Bretonnian. They're not the fightiest of units. But one of our units of hounds is about to break. It's lost over half its number, so I shouldn't imagine it's going to be too long before they break. But as I said, use these to skirt around the enemy, decoys, protecting flanks, just sort of utility jobs. I see them as sort of a utility unit that can do all sorts. And a couple of these units can mop up missile infantry. They can also, go after cavalry as well, just to tie them up, or especially missile cavalry. That's a really good use for them to sort of keep them busy and out of the fight from going after your main battle line or your more vulnerable troops, because obviously they're quite quick. So it looks like we're just about winning. The hero's going to get involved now, which should give them a boost to finish us off. I am actually just going to run them straight through this unit because I want them to go away. They actually did surprisingly well. You wait there, dudes. So you can run out of combat, but you take a lot of damage. Your morale goes down because you're basically running away, and so your units are much more likely to flee. So we won't get too close with the trolls because of our fleeing units. We're just going to move these. I feel sorry for these spearmen. The Warhounds have a good job, and they did some decent damage. So you could, because they are relatively cheap in the Chaos Army, you could use those, charge a couple of units of those into a big unit just to soften them up a bit before your main force arrives. So let's have a look. So we're going to go for our armor piercing unit. We're going to send straight against the Lord, and then we're going to send our normal unit against this the larger unit of spearmen that seem to be just wandering off in a random direction. They're chasing the poison hounds off there. The hero's not even looking. No, he's running. Yeah, I kind of run as well. I think that. Oh my lord, that's. Obviously, this is still not the ideal use for trolls. They're not really sort of hero killers. They can do the job, but they're much better against sort of big units of infantry just eating face. As you can see, we'll see how this morale goes. They're very low units, so they should be able to win. But as soon as they start getting bogged down, or if they get hit in the flanks, these trolls will run away. They're already losing morale, even though we're fighting two very depleted units. And he's just vomited all over that guy. Yeah, that would cause fear. And they're about to break. You see, look. They're powerful, but you need them. So the way you'd use Chaos Trolls, almost call them Cave Trolls. I don't even know where the hero is. The hero. Where is he? There he is. The way you'd use See, look, he's barely taken any damage from these sort of cave trolls. They're much better against these units. The way you'd use these as part of your main battle force, you need them to be close to your general. That's the single biggest thing you have to be careful of, is keep them close to your general because of their terrible leadership. Keep them happy, keep their morale up, keep their flanks checked. You could have cave trolls flanked by a unit of Warhounds just to keep them safe. You know, that would be a valuable use of the Warhounds, just to keep their flanks secure, keep them happy. That is the all-important thing with cave trolls. They will do a ton of damage. You've just got to keep them happy. So they did manage to break these two little units here, thankfully. And they'll go after the general again. Now they've depleted him. I think without his units, he should go down pretty quick. There you go, guys. There's my little guide to the sort of slightly more unusual units of the Chaos Army. I definitely take a couple of units of Warhounds because I think they're just... Their utility is so useful. They can do all sorts of different roles. I think I definitely take a unit of those. Poison or not, they both work really well. With the Chaos Trolls, it's very situational. I wouldn't have them in small skirmish armies, but I'd have them if you're taking a full stack, and I would have them as main part of your battle line next to your Chaos Warriors, just dishing out massive amounts of damage, and having your hero nearby to sort of keep them happy and keep them in check. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hit that like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the place. And say hello in the comments. I'll say hello back and we could be friends forever. Hooray! Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.